Alright, so in the last episode on this build, we worked on the paint on this truck. It was in really, really rough shape, and as you can see now, it really looks pretty good. But when you open the hood, it still looks really old and rough because this truck, it just wasn't taken care of for a really long time. So we're going to take some time today and clean the engine bay. That means clean it with soap and water and get all the dust and dirt and grime out. We're also going to do some things to just make it look a little bit neater when you open the hood. It should be pretty exciting, and it should be helpful for some of you guys that have wanted to do this, but maybe we're too scared to put water under here. I'll help you out. Let's do it. Alright, so if you're cleaning underneath the engine bay of your car, there's only a couple places that you really need to be mindful of when it comes to water. The first is your air filter. You saw me just take that air filter off of my car. If you got an older carbureted engine, it's probably going to be sitting right on top. Likely though, you have a newer fuel injected engine and it's going to be off to the side somewhere, some sort of air filter box. Now if it's in a box, it's safe from water. You don't really have to worry about it. If you've got like a cold air intake or whatever, go ahead and take that off, plug it with a rag or something. You want to make sure that water doesn't get inside of there. So if you don't have a distributor, you have coils, or likely have coils, and the coils are on each individual plug. You want to keep those covered. If there's water that gets into those holes or in around the coils, it won't necessarily ruin your engine, but it will make it run poorly. It may keep it from starting, and you'll have to either wait for it to dry out or vacuum up the water and hope that it works after. Either way, you're going to want to cover that up. This is a trick that I got from Chris Fix. You just take a trash bag and drape it down over the things that you don't want to get wet. So I just drape it over the entire engine, down over the distributor. This truck is huge, so it's kind of hard. And if you have a bigger one than this, that will be better, but this is all I've got, so that's what I'm going to use. And so that will make sure that when we are spraying water on this and washing it, that water isn't going to get down into any of the important electrical components. Alright, I think that'll be fine. Now it's time to clean. So normally at this point I would use compressed air and detailing brushes to get all the loose dirt off, and I'd shop vac it out. That's my favorite method, but all my detailing brushes fell apart, and since we're quarantined, it's kind of hard for me to get new ones. So I'm going to go straight to the water step of this one. We're just using water and some dish detergent, and we're going to knock as much of this dirt out as we can. We'll rinse it all off. We may have to do that twice since we're not getting the air step in, and then we'll be able to move on to the rest of the cleaning. Alright, so that looks a lot better, but I can tell it's still going to be a little bit streaky when it all dries off. So I'm going to do the whole thing over again, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and clean the fender wells and the firewall and let that dry, and then we'll kind of see what we're dealing with and how much more cleaning we're going to have to do on that. This is my least favorite part, so I'm glad it's getting out of the way first. Alright, so my kids are playing with water and riding Power Wheels. There's a lot of noise right now. We're going to keep rolling. So yesterday we cleaned this thing off pretty well. The water was like black when we got done. So I wanted to go over it again with some clean water. And it is really clean now. I'm really happy with how that came out. And that is my least favorite part of this whole process, but it's just something that has to be done. The next part is really fun. So we've got some parts. The first that I want to show is my buddy Erwin, aka 3 Wheels on a Block. He's always sending me stuff to help out with the channel, and he saw that we were doing a small block, and he sent me these. So these are Chrome Moroso. Never heard of it before, but it looks cool. Valve covers. They are going to go on our engine, and that will help out with the look a lot. This thing looks really clean from the intake up because we replaced all that, but the valve covers look really rough, and the headers or the manifolds look really rough. So that will take care of the valve cover problem. Put these on the ground. For the manifolds, I picked up some of this. This is some silver flame-proof paint, so we're going to paint those silver. I think they'll look really nice. It's like an aluminum color. And then I also we got this. I don't really like this stuff, but it's better than all the colorful wires that are in there. It's just a wiring loom. We'll run all our wires through that. I think because underneath this hood is black, it's all going to kind of disappear back there underneath this stuff. So that'll be good too. It should look a lot cleaner. All right, let's throw this stuff on. this is quite the upgrade from this. So you can see this thing is disgusting. I mean, just gross. This one is not. This one is super nice. I'm actually getting it dirty right now. Very excited to put these on. I was hoping we'd be able to get valve covers for this build because this is going to make it look so much different. Now, if you'll see, this one is a little bit thicker. That's for if you run a high lift cam, I think, so that you have room to clear the valve cover. So, if the new owner wants to do that, it'll be ready to go. Now, I did get some new quart gaskets. We're going to put those in, and then we'll slap this on the car. Alright, so I understand that what I just did is going to receive maybe a little bit of hate, and that's okay. It's very lazy, and I get that. Maybe one day someone will take this thing apart and pull the headers off and say, I cannot believe someone spray painted these while they were still in the engine, and that's great because they're taking care of the engine and they're replacing them with something better. So kudos to that guy, whoever you are. For now, I just wanted to look better when you open the hood, so we did a quick spray paint on the headers. I keep calling them headers, manifolds, and yeah, they're good to go. They're fine. They look good. So what I'm going to do now is take this same can of black spray paint that we used on the interior, and we are going to use it underneath the hood. Anywhere there's black that's not hot, so that's not the engine, we're going to recoat it with black. Maybe not like the sides and stuff, but definitely like all the little plastic pieces and stuff. We're going to hit them with this. This is kind of our big coat of black, and then we'll get into some details in just a minute. Let's do it. So we've got everything cleaned up and painted and looking really good. It's time to reroute everything. So all my spark plug wires were all crazy. I don't think that they were in the right spot because there were different lengths all over the truck when I got it. So I'm going to try to kind of sort those by length and then plug them in accordingly and then organize them. We're also going to run some wire sheath over all of our colored wires so they kind of disappear into the background. When you open the hood, you won't really see them. And we're going to reroute some of the vacuum lines and stuff that go over the top of the engine. Try to hide those as much as possible as well. The result should be a really clean, neat looking engine bay when you open the hood. I actually like this part. I like most of this process if you haven't been able to tell. It's really fun for me. Yeah, so let's start putting stuff back together. Can you bring me that thing? Oh, thanks, dude. They are the colorful things. Alright, so first thing, I've got these wires running to the alternator. I'm gonna need some electrical tape. You need some help?
Yeah.
I'll come help you. I'll show you guys the garage now. Oh. So if you've got kids and you live vicariously through them by buying them Power Wheels and fixing them, I have videos where I do like 12-volt conversions, like normal batteries off of Amazon. I fixed that one back there up, and I built a wide body one, which will go in this garage as well. If you're into that, I have videos for it. Huge shout out to my dad for teaching me how to put shingles up and for helping me literally the entire day to get this whole structure built. It's coming in handy. It's about to rain. Okay, so I've got these laid out in different lengths. What I'm going to do is pull up a diagram of the firing order, which way all of these are supposed to go, and I'll number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on length and where they go, and hopefully at the end I don't have any wasted wire. What was happening was like some of these wires were like coiled up twice or 3 times and resting on the manifold and stuff, just not good. So I want to make sure they have as little slack as possible so I can route them where I want to and make them look very clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop a zip tie around all 4. We'll loop it around all 4, and then we'll run zip ties down in between each cable. And what it's going to do is create this little like cable chain thing that holds them all parallel to each other. It'll keep them organized and it'll look super nice. And they're really easy to remove if, you know, I gotta take the spark plugs off. So I wanted a more attractive housing for my coolant. The coolant tank that was in there was ugly. It sat right on top of the fender, and I really just didn't like it. You can get some aluminum ones that are pretty cool, but I was watching a show on Netflix the other day, and they used a Jack Daniels bottle as their coolant reservoir. It's really cool. You could see the coolant inside. I couldn't find one of those, but I did find this. This is a glass bottle. The cool thing about this bottle is on the bottom it says smooth is fast, and I thought that was a cool saying for this truck. So we're going to use it. Now I've tried a few things to get this thing to mount. I started with cutting a hole in some sheet metal. That did not work. Then I cut a bottle in half. I had a metal bottle that was about the same size. I cut it in half and tried to jam this into it. It worked, but this was not removable if I did that. So I had to cut that off, and I finally came up with this. These are just regular, let's see. These are just regular hose clamps. I had them laying in my shop, and I thought these are gonna hold it perfectly. Now, I don't know exactly how I'm going to mount it or where I'm going to mount it. The cool thing is the opening of this bottle is about the diameter of the hose, so I may not even have to do any sort of like drilling or anything like that. We'll see. But I've got to figure out now how I'm going to mount these cable ties to the actual truck itself so that we can mount our bottle in there and it'll be removable and all that cool stuff. Let's figure it out. Alright, so what I did is I wrapped some electrical tape around the bottle where these clips would be just to give a barrier between the metal and the glass. I felt like it needed an isolator, and so basically by wrapping that rubber tape around it or electrical tape around it, you create this metal isolator that'll keep this from moving around and sliding in and out of the metal. So that worked well. And then on the hose didn't quite fit into the opening of the bottle. It was really close, so I did the same thing, wrapped some electrical tape around it, and now it has a really solid positive engagement with the top of this bottle. So that's going to be really good. The only problem is that this hose is too short. You can see it's stretched right across right here. So I'm going to have to get another one. I don't know if I'm going to do that today, but I will get another one because it also needs to go to the very bottom of the bottle, and it doesn't do that right now. So before this is like a functional piece, before we really drive the car on the road with this thing, I need to get a longer hose. So we'll run it down around by the battery and then up to this thing. I think that's how we're going to do it anyway. We'll see. We'll test it out and play around with it. Overall, though, I think it's really cool looking. It's like the first unique thing, like really unique thing we've done with this truck. And it helps clean the inside up a lot. Now we don't have those ugly bottles. The only ugly thing we have left is this on the top. So maybe we could replace it with a new brake booster or something, but I'm not going to deal with that on this go-around. I'm very happy with how this came out. All right, so I want to put the battery back in and drive this thing out into the daylight and see what it actually looks like, because we're underneath the roof, so you don't really get a good feel of how clean or dirty this engine is. Let's do it. Alright, hey, I must be getting a little bit better because it started up the first time, so I'm really happy about that. These things, you have to turn them over a lot because it's got a mechanical fuel pump, which we actually replaced. And it takes a little while for the gas to actually get in the car, but check this thing out. Alright, so this engine bay looks awesome. I'm so stoked with how it came out. I could go a little bit further with it, but I'm limited supplies right now. So like things like dressing for the hoses and a couple of cleanup bits, chrome polish, things like that. I'm short on supplies, and we're under a mandatory house quarantine deal. So I can't go out right now. So we're gonna have to leave it here, but I'm still super happy with how good this came out. I think it looks incredibly good. I mean, it really does look awesome. Doesn't even look like the same engine, especially from what we started with. Let me show you exactly how this thing started when I picked it up. So as you can see, this thing was in really rough shape. It was super dirty. All the parts looked really rough, and we've replaced a lot of that stuff, and it looks awesome now. But here's the real question. Have we stayed under $2,000? Well, yes and no. I'll explain. So I have a parts list here. I'm gonna read it off. I'll add it up for you at the end, and let's see if we made it. So the C10 itself, $1,000 even. I sold the wheels on it for $150. That put us down to $850. New wheels and tires for $300. That was on Facebook Marketplace. Wheel adapters off Amazon for $80. A carb rebuild from a local guy down the street, $135. The intake was $60, also off Facebook Marketplace. Air filter was $30 at O'Reilly's. Interior was $102 to do the whole deal. We did a video on that. You want to check it out? It's on my channel. I had to get a fuel pump. My fuel pump was not working. I pulled it apart. Turns out there's like a spring in there that keeps it working. It's a mechanical fuel pump, and the spring had disintegrated. So I bought a new fuel pump, $24, and that's why people love these trucks. Touch-up paint was $30. Now here's one we could go either way on. If you went and bought just a little tube of touch-up paint, it would be like $7. I went ahead and got a quart of it because I want to do the tailgate, but $30. Engine paint and all the pins and stuff I was using to touch up all the engine paint was $10. The lowering kit, $312. And the U-bolts that I had to replace because I cut the old ones off were $40. That brings us to a grand total of $1,973. And that is a beautiful thing. $1,900, and I have, well, and a lot of work. And I have this C10 behind me, which I am in love with. I love this truck. It is an incredible truck, and it looks cool now too. So why do I say that could fluctuate? Well, if you don't have some of the tools that I have, then it's going to cost you a little bit more. For example, I had buffing compound and a buffer. Each of those compounds is about $30. The buffer itself, I think you can get them for like $60 at Harbor Freight. Get a better one than what I've got, but $60. So $120 for the buffing and polishing if you don't have anything. But you'll have a buffer and you'll have plenty of polish to do another several projects. So if that were the case, we're still at $2,093. So we're really still close to the budget, and you would have new tools and buffing compound. So really, really good. I honestly thought we were gonna go way over budget, especially when I decided to spend $300 on suspension, but it all worked out, and this thing is awesome. So we do have one more video. So I want to handle the tailgate. The tailgate looks like it's been skimmed over with a pretty thick layer of Bondo, and I feel like it's probably hiding some secrets. So this is kind of off budget, but it's gonna cost me about $30 more to do. So that'll put us at $2,004. I think that still counts, but I am gonna use some of my specialty tools. I'm gonna be using my welder. I'm gonna be using my painting stuff, and this is just more about getting this thing ready to sell. If I was gonna keep this thing and I want it to be a $2,000 car, I'd leave it exactly like it is because it looks sick. I've already gotten tons of compliments on it, tons of people wanting to buy it. It's a great car, but I want to take it a little bit further just because I can. So we're gonna fix the tailgate. We may get into the bed too. Plus, this truck has a secret that I have not told you guys about. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will reveal this truck's secret to you in the next video. It's actually pretty interesting. The secret word of the day is going to be slick. It's gonna be slick. So use slick in the comments below. Let me know that you watched the entire video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the whole video. It makes a huge difference to watch till the end. So you guys are legends for watching till the end. Thank you so much. We broke 100 members on our 99-cent membership. So if you haven't joined that yet and you want to support the channel financially, you can donate through that join button. It's a 99-cent a month membership, and it goes to making this thing so much easier to produce. Having a monthly income that's predictable. My wife is making faces over here, and that's my grandparents driving by. True Alabama. So having a monthly income that is predictable makes it so much easier to build, so much easier to produce content for free, and it just makes a massive difference in the channel. So if you can give that 99 cents a month, it really does make a huge difference. If you can't, no big deal. Watch to the end, because you're killing it by watching to the end, and you're making our videos get put up in front of people, and you can see that by the view count right here. So thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best community on the internet, and I believe that. I will see you next time.